Donald Trump did include one policy idea in his speech that, for me, really stuck out.
We should only admit into this country those who share our values and respect our people. The time is overdue to develop a new screening test for the threats we face today. I call it extreme vetting. I call it extreme vetting.
And I call it extreme vetting. I call it extreme. Donald Trump is the biggest joke. I'm sorry, people. It's like he's auditioning for the extreme vetting commercial. Extreme. I call it extreme vet. Okay, wait, give me that. I call it extreme vetting. Like, how many takes do we get? It's live, Donald. It's live. He thinks it gets bigger when extreme, more extreme, most extremist of all. The start of week 2 of the Donald Trump presidency.
Chaotic scenes erupting at airports around the world.
Protests all across the country
Denounced President Trump's temporary ban on travelers from 7 mostly Muslim countries.
Lawyers descending on airports.
Chaos and confusion.
Is this the America that we believe in? Is this liberty?
Do you understand how insane this is? People in the airport were pissed. And it's not because they're at the airports. Welcome to Trump's America. That's how bad the Donald is. No matter how bad the situation you're in, Donald Trump can always make it worse. Like, there could be people trapped in an earthquake and still they'd be going, I can't believe Donald Trump's new policies! That guy was the lucky one! It's official, people. This weekend, Trump signed an executive order putting his so-called Muslim ban into effect. And I know most of you already know what's in it, but just for the one person who doesn't understand it fully, let's take the time to explain what the ban means. Hey, Donald. I know you don't actually write or read any of those boring papers, so let me explain to you what you did. You banned everyone from 7 Muslim countries from entering the United States. Even though you said your ban was to protect America from outside threats, that ban included people with green cards. It even seemed to include dual citizens of Canada or Britain or any other country you didn't plan to ban, you silly Billy. Now go back to watching CNN. Go back. By the way, this is just real quick. This guy who was banned from the UK, his name is Zahawi. And he was a politician who, in the UK, used to tweet about Brexit. And he was like, we need our country back. We need to protect our borders. Brexit. And then this weekend he was like, America won't let me in because I'm a foreigner. How can Donald Trump do this? Comes around, baby. Comes around. Now, because Donald Trump put this thing together with all the consideration of a drunken Vegas wedding, it's no surprise that it ended with devastated families.
Families separated for hours, including this 5-year-old boy.
The Cleveland Clinic doctor, she was forced to leave, even though she holds an H-1B visa for workers in specialty occupations.
Hamid Darwish is a 53-year-old Iraqi. He had helped the U.S. military for 10 years in Iraq as an interpreter.
Faoud Sharif and his family, Iraqi refugees, plan to make their move to the U.S. yesterday. His family given the visa because he risked his life working with the U.S. government.
I don't know what to do because I sold my house. I quit my job.
Now, if ever there's a story of being screwed over, it's this. A man risked his and his family's life to help America's efforts in Iraq, and now he's being turned away? He can't go home. He sold his house. He quit his job. And also, because anyone going out like that, you know he burned a few bridges on the way out. Like, no one's leaving Iraq coming to America without making a show. He was probably like, Malik, who's going to America? Not you! Boom! Who's out? I'm out! Ba 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 ba. I'm out of here! He can't go back. Now, one of the advantages of being president is that you get to decide foreign policy without consulting anyone. I understand that's a perk, but only a Trump administration would fail to inform itself as to what was going on.
Sources told our Homeland Security reporter that senior-level officials at DHS did not have meaningful warning of the details.
Homeland Security scrambled to understand and enforce it.
John McCain and Lindsey Graham say they're caught off guard.
Exclusion of General Mattis.
No guidance provided to Customs and Border Protection.
What kind of a slapdash arts and crafts administration are these fools running? Think about it. Even the border officials didn't understand the ban. They had to enforce it and they didn't understand it. They were probably asking the refugees to help them. This is like, hey, do you know what this means? Do you know what it means? And the guy was like, yeah, I think it means you should be sending me back even though I have correct paperwork. I know it just feels a little draconian. I don't want to seem like an asshole. Hey, don't worry, we all have jobs, my friend. Your job is to enforce an irrational ban. My job is to go home and die. Huh? We all have jobs. Now, if you're wondering where President Trump was when airports around the country were in chaos.
Right now, on the schedule for the president, he is hosting a family screening of Finding Dory in the White House Theater.
Shh! Don't disturb me. I don't care what's happening at the airport. I'm watching a movie about families being separated. It's hilarious. Shut up.
Who is this man? And by the way, who hasn't watched Finding Dory yet? It's 2017. This man is not fit to be president. Not fit! With all the people taking to the streets, protesting against President Trump's de facto Muslim ban, a lot of folks have been asking the question, where are the Democrats in all of this? And why aren't they saying anything? Well, last night, House Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi at a rally in front of the Supreme Court helped us understand why.
Thank you very much for coming out. Is the sound working? Got it? The sound working? I can hear you. Can you hear us? Can you hear now? No, that doesn't do any good. Does this work better? No. As staff, sound people, shall we sing This Land Is Your Land again until they get the sound working? This land is yours.
This land is your land.
This land is my land.
We are so now. This is a nightmare.
Is this thing working? Is it? I'm talking about democracy as a whole. Is it working? No? I didn't think so.
But yo, guys, that was a powerful address. It really was. It reminded me of Martin Luther King's I have a bad mic speech. I bet Mariah Carey was like, yeah, Nancy, now try it on New Year's Eve. It's not so easy, is it? I don't see you laughing now. Can I be honest, though? It's moments like this that make me miss Obama. You know? Because, I get the song, but it's all folksy. Like, remember when Obama would break into song? It was way cooler than that. Like, if Obama's mic went out, he'd sing Remix to Ignition or something like that, you know? And you know what made this Nancy Pelosi thing even worse? The reaction from some of the people who were standing there with her.
Is the sound working? Got it? The sound working? I can hear you. Can you hear us? Is the sound working?
Oh man, I'm sorry. I shouldn't be laughing. I'm sorry. It's rude of me to make fun of the Democrats before giving the president a chance.
President Trump tweeted, quote, Nancy Pelosi and fake tears Chuck Schumer held a rally at the steps of the Supreme Court and the mic did not work. A mess, just like the Democratic Party.
First of all, can we just take a moment to acknowledge the world we're now living in? Because you realize, because Trump is a president, this tweet is now a government record. You understand that? That means some guy at the Smithsonian is preserving that tweet in plastic next to the Gettysburg Address. That's what he's doing. Kids are gonna have to learn that someday in school. You know, kids are gonna be like, 7 years ago, but fake tears, Chuck Schumer. By the way, what are Mexicans? Oh yeah, it's coming. It's coming. But it takes a certain lack of self-awareness for Butterscotch Fog over here to call the Democrats a mess when he's made the West Wing seem less like an office and more like Walmart on Black Friday. And I'm talking about the year Blu-ray came out. That was insane. Like, the Donald is the last person who should be calling anyone's situation a mess, considering every single day of his administration has been a cluster. Inauguration lies, popular vote conspiracies, cardboard cake, forgetting to mention the Jews on Holocaust Remembrance Day. And then this weekend, the disastrous implementation of his immigration and refugee ban. Well, disastrous is one description of it. Another way you could put it is...
It's working out very nicely. You see it at the airports, you see it all over. It's working out very nicely.
Okay, now either Trump's out of touch, or he's just managing our expectations. He's like, oh no, trust me, this worked way better than I thought it would. Trust me, folks, these are the good times. Remember these times, okay? These are the good times. I actually feel like the next 4 years of Trump is gonna be him and his people saying one thing and us saying, we have eyes.
That order signed Friday, leading to instant chaos and confusion at airports, at home, and around the world.
Protests erupted at airports all across the country. It caught the Department of Homeland Security, State Department, and Customs and Border Patrol flat-footed.
How do you see that? How do you see that and think everything's okay? How? Either Trump's delusional, or his aides replaced news coverage with that scene from Love Actually. That's all he's watching every day. Because that is not what we've been living through. I'll tell you that now. This entire thing has been a mess. And it's an unnecessary mess, by the way. A completely unnecessary mess. It's like Trump and his team weren't even trying to make this thing work. There are reports that before signing the executive order, Trump blew off getting any legal advice from the Departments of Justice, State, Defense, or the National Security Council, or even Siri. Just ask Siri. I bet she would have said, you want to do what? Bitch, you crazy. Anyone would have told you if you just asked them. Bitch, you crazy. Which, by the way, is also what 4 federal judges across the country said about the ban. They were there and they were like, my ruling is, bitch, you crazy. Although they probably did it in Latin. They were like, res ipsa loquitur, bitch. And last night, the cluster crescendoed.
Breaking overnight, President Trump fires the acting attorney general.
Acting Attorney General Sally Yates sending a dramatic letter to department lawyers saying she was not sure President Trump's order was, quote, lawful.
In a matter of hours, the president fired her.
Yes! He did it. He did it the first you're fired of the Trump administration. Finally! Thank you, Jesus! No, let's be honest. That's the only part of Trump's presidency we were looking forward to. That's the only part. And the only part he was qualified to do. That's it. That's it. That's it. I bet he walked into Yates' office and did it like that photo shoot. Remember that photo shoot?
In the center, in the center, in the center.
Are you ready? Yeah, we're ready.
You ready? Can you hear me? Is this thing on? Is this Nancy Pelosi's mic?
I still don't understand why he does it silently. But he did, that's him. You're fired! Please tell me that's exactly how he did it.
Sally Yates was told by hand-delivered letter that Trump was dismissing her.
You gave her a letter? The you're fired guy? Dismissed someone by letter? Donald Trump, that's your thing. That's like if Arnold Schwarzenegger was leaving and he was like, farewell. That's your thing. Donald Trump firing people was the only thing we were looking forward to in a Trump presidency. I bet there's some Trump voters who only voted for that issue. Yeah, some voters out there are like, screw this, bring in Mike Pence. That's the only reason I voted. Well, I don't know about you. That's why I voted illegally. That's the only reason I voted. Otherwise, I would have voted for Hillary. What a waste! I could have voted for someone else. I mean, instead of being embarrassed by Sally Yates, an Obama holdover, who was leaving in a few days anyway, Trump could have instituted the ban in a few weeks, when Confederate hobbit Jeff Sessions would have been the Attorney General. Could have just waited. It's no wonder the whole thing's a mess. Trump had all of the patience of a toddler who just ate his entire birthday cake before the party. Who are you? You know, Trump's whole campaign appeal was that he'd run the country like a business. Remember that? Remember when they said that? He's gonna run it like a business. And at the time, it seemed like a terrible idea because it's a country, not a business. But now, I'm starting to wish he would run it more like a business. Because what kind of business would launch a new product without telling the rest of the company about it, without checking it with the lawyers, or most importantly, worrying about how it would affect their brand? What kind of company would do that? It's not a company, although I guess Trump is in a way keeping his promise. He may not be running the country like a business, but he is running it like his business. Trump is still doing president stuff. And at the top of his to-do list lately is keeping people out of America, starting with supersizing the travel ban.
President Trump is planning to widen its controversial travel ban. The plan will prohibit nearly all people from 7 countries. Now, the new restrictions are expected to be announced on Monday.
Our country has to be safe. You see what's going on in the world. Our country has to be safe. So we have a very strong travel ban, and we'll be adding a few countries to it.
Yes, Donald Trump is expanding his infamous travel ban. And it looks like it's going to be 6 countries from Africa and Asia and 1 from Europe, just to throw people off the scent. You know? Yeah. Trump's travel bans are like a reverse Oscars. A bunch of brown nominees and then 1 token white one thrown in for diversity. It's like, yeah. Now, I know Trump's State Department claims they're doing this to keep America safe. But it is starting to feel like Trump really just wants to ban the entire world, but he's doing it a few countries at a time, just so he doesn't look crazy. You know, it's almost the same way like how I treat the dessert at a buffet. You know, yeah, I'll just be like, yeah, I'll just have one of these. Yeah, maybe some of these. Yeah. Oh, I didn't see there was cheesecake. There's cheesecake. Do you want cheesecake? I've got to have the cheesecake. I'll come back. I want. Either way, the travel ban is about to get even broader. But while Trump is trying to stop people from moving here, he's also preventing them from being born in America in the first place.
The Trump administration issued new rules today aimed at cracking down on so-called birth tourism, when women travel here to give birth so their children will automatically become U.S. citizens.
And it comes after President Trump has railed against birthright citizenship.
You're a dictator who we hate and who's against us. And that dictator has his wife have a baby on American soil. Congratulations. Your son or daughter is now an American citizen. Does anybody think this makes sense?
Okay. Why would a dictator want their child to be born as an American? What's the game plan? What, just have the kid born here, become a U.S. citizen, and then when the kid returns home, be like, I have an American hostage and I have some demands. It's like, Dad, what are you doing? Shut up, infidel. Now, even though Trump's example is crazy, he's not wrong about people abusing birthright citizenship. Every year, thousands of rich foreign women fly to America just to give birth so the baby can be a U.S. citizen, and then they fly home. And if you ask me, it's a good example of the Constitution being behind the times. Because back then, when they came up with birthright citizenship, no one was just flying in for the weekend. Yeah, back then you were considered an explorer if you went more than 3 towns over. Yeah, people in New York were like, did you hear? James went to New Jersey and he survived. So I get wanting to limit birth tourism. But the question is, how is Homeland Security going to determine who's coming in just to give birth? Because that could get pretty awkward at the airport. Well, the border agent is just going to be like, hey, no pregnant women allowed. Oh, you're not pregnant? Okay, fine. You can come in, but take a spin class or something. Come on. So maybe curbing birth tourism isn't the craziest idea. But Trump isn't just going after rich families. No, he's also targeting the tired, huddled masses yearning to breathe free.
And the Trump administration has scored a victory in its effort to place new restrictions on legal immigration. The Supreme Court has cleared the way for the government to deny green cards to immigrants if they sign up for public assistance like food stamps or Medicaid, or if they're considered likely to apply for such assistance in the future.
Yeah, in other words, Trump wants to block poor people from staying in America, which explains the updated inscription on the Statue of Liberty. Bitch, better have my money. And honestly, it is kind of depressing, because coming from nothing and building a life for yourself is literally the American dream. It's basically what the country was founded on. Well, that and the freedom to get weird-ass haircuts, but that mostly. And the irony of this law is that Trump's own mother arrived in America as a poor immigrant with barely any money to her name. So if these rules were in place when she came over, she probably wouldn't have been allowed to stay. She would have been denied a visa and sent packing. And then there would be no President Trump. So I'm not saying the law is terrible. I'm just saying it's about 100 years too late.